The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Friday, TGIF.
It's a lovely day in the neighborhood.
Lovely day. It's supposed to be warm, but it still doesn't feel that great out there. It's windy. A few showers, but hey, again, I don't even know where to begin. You know, well, let's begin with our state legislators, because we can talk about the Riv. It should be the big thing. But legislators, soda tax, marketing restrictions, to reduce soda consumption. Oh yes, they're not getting enough campaign contributions from the soda industry, and now they're going to use the excuse that it's better for your health. Well, if they legislated everything that was bad for you, we'd have there wouldn't be any supermarkets. So, I mean, look, Massachusetts, they'll always find a way and a justification to tax. That's just the way it is. They love to take money out of your wallet. They'll never, it's like pulling teeth to get them to give you a tax holiday in this state, even though they give themselves pay raises at warp factor speed. But again, more taxes, more money out of your pocket. Welcome to Massachusetts.
No better place to be, right?
No better place to be. They love taxes. They never saw a tax they didn't like.
But the problem I have with that is, and I understand their argument that this is, it's bad for people's health, and like you said, if we legislated everything that's bad for your health, there'd be no food, there'd be no booze, there'd be no anything. There'd be no cigarettes. There'd be nothing. There'd be no marijuana. But wait a minute, no, we have marijuana because it's generating taxes. So we got to keep that.
That's right, exactly. Marijuana's now nobody's worried about the health. And the other thing is, look, it's just like gun legislation. The answer to everything is to legislate guns like criminals actually believe it, and people who really want a gun can't find a gun on a black market. It only creates another growth industry, black market arms sales. But look, cigarettes, great example, CJ. Cigarettes, they're getting zillions of dollars in taxes now. I mean, years ago, cigarettes were $0.25 a pack, and now they're $10. It always fascinates me how these people collecting at the intersections. They're looking unemployed, homeless, starving, and they got a $10 pack of cigarettes in their pocket, and they're smoking a cigarette. But if you figure that out, one pack a day, that's $70 a week. You could almost eat on that if you ate from the dollar menu on McDonald's. But there's the government with their convoluted rationalizations. They use the same theory on cigarettes. It's going to cut cigarette smoking. Well, guess what? People still smoke cigarettes. They'll never take it off the market, though. So if you went through all these incremental tax increases to now you're paying $10 a pack and probably $9 in taxes out of the 10, and it still hasn't really put any major dent in it. They'll find a way around it. Why don't you take it off the market? Cigarettes kill more people than drugs, for God's sakes. Lung cancer, and they've been killing them for years, decades, half a century. I mean, even the military, I know in World War II, they used to get a 3-pack of cigarettes with their C rations. And they don't do that anymore with MREs and even the C rations I had. We didn't get cigarettes. But
got a Hershey bar, though.
Yeah. But
so you want to call it that?
But the thing is that like this, marijuana, nobody cares now. It's a revenue source. taxes, these are all justifications for them to tax you. If you really believe that the soda consumption, but then that's a double-edged sword. It's a catch-22. When does the government supersede its authority by becoming Big Brother? You know, you can have laws, but when you start trying to legislate how people eat, the freedom of choice is gone. So now they're going to tell you, look, if you want to drink soda and kill yourself, it's just like cigarettes. You know, they got a warning label on the side. So, you know, if you're dumb enough to puff on those things and give yourself lung cancer, well, I'm sorry. You know, that's a self-induced problem. You did it to yourself. You knew. You know, people in the 1940s and 30s, when they didn't know the negative effects, the medical liabilities in smoking cigarettes, like I said, the government gave out cigarettes with C rations. Doctors actually made commercials for cigarettes. Yeah, they said, you know, these are really good for.
That's right.
They're really good for you. But obviously, we learned. Now they put these big giant labels on it, causes lung cancer, birth defects, and, you know, a myriad of other issues.
And
so look, but you know, this is the, you know, unfortunately, they keep saying America's free. I think it was George Carlin that once said, you know, that's, and George Carlin still to this day, and he's been dead for a very long time, has always been my favorite comedian. He was one of the most brilliant political satirists in the world. If you look at some of his stuff on YouTube, you'll be amazed how relevant some of the things he said still are about government and about many, many things. But he said probably 40 years ago, don't believe the BS the government tells you that we have choices. He said the only choices you have are paper of plastic at the market. And now he's wrong, because now they're trying to eliminate plastic.
That's coming up on Tuesday.
So you don't even have that choice. So this is the problem. You know, this is a big con job. The United States is no longer the country that was originally created. When people came over to escape religious persecution, and they came over here knowing what it was to be persecuted and really discriminated against, and they came over, and even though everybody else that came over may have been a different religion, for most of it was religious persecution in England, but when the Quakers came over and the Mennonites and you know, and everybody came over, and all these various sects that that resulted from the Protestant Reformation, they learned to get along because they knew what it was to be singled out and discriminated. So even though they didn't particularly have to care for the people, they didn't even have to like the other people, but they realized they created a country that you respected everybody's right to kind of do what they wanted, practice the religion they wanted, do what they wanted within the parameters of the law. But that's gone now. I mean, we have devolved to the point where we say we have a republic, and we know it's not a republic. All you got to do is look at Washington, look at congressmen and the fact that they have a health care system that's second to none, but we have one of the crappiest health care systems and most expensive health care systems in the world. They get a pension after sitting in that chair for 1 minute. They've got great pensions, great health care. Do they fix any of our stuff? They don't have to worry about pharmaceuticals. So, don't believe the hype. And what am I saying? We can't overthrow the government like we did in the 1700s. We can't pick up our muskets and go out and fight the British who were coming over by ship, and it took them forever. Most police departments look like military units now. They've got Humvees, they've got automatic weapons, they've got howitzers, they've got everything. God, they get all the military ordnance that the military gets. You're not overthrowing a government by force. But we've always had the right to overthrow the government with our vote. And that's one of the problems. The people do not exercise their rights. And as one one of my favorite presidents, Theodore Roosevelt, said in another one of his speeches, Rome began to unravel when the citizens of Rome stopped voting and spent all their time having orgies or going to the Colosseum. So, you know, take it for what it is. Look at it. Look at the news. Look at what's happening. And realize that we don't have a heck of a lot to say. They just do whatever the hell they want. And again, if you want to drink soda, and you know it's going to, it's going to hurt you and your health. But then again, how accurate are health studies? You know, how many years do they tell you that, you know, if your cholesterol was 240, you're okay? Then the pharmaceutical companies wanted to sell more statins, so they said they dropped it down to 200, and blood pressure went from 140 over 90 to 120 over 80, so they could sell more blood pressure meds. And then they said, oh, wait a minute, it's not just cholesterol, it's triglycerides, it's a whole packet of things. They keep revamping these studies, so can we trust it? I don't know. The reality is, I know a lot of people that drank soda their whole lives and lived to 100, so... You know, my thing is, it's your life. If you know the consequences and you want to believe every study, well, eat lettuce and drink water for the rest of your life and enjoy yourself. But if you don't, if you want to have a soda once in a while, then have a Coke and a smile.
The problem is you can't even eat lettuce anymore.
Well, you couldn't eat romaine for a while. I know that. They knocked romaine off the shelves. But look, the reality is, you gotta, you know,
something's gonna kill you. Something's
gonna kill you. You know, let's face it, everybody. Everybody's got the same. You know, there's no beating the Grim Reaper. You know. The end of this game of life is the same for everybody, no matter how hard you try. So far, nobody's lived forever. So
Shucks,
I believe in Gandhi's one of my favorite quotes from Gandhi when he said, "Live as if you were to die tomorrow, and learn as if you were to live forever." So you know something, you know, you don't know when your ticket's going to get punched. You could be the healthiest living person in the world, step off a curb and get hit by a bus. You know, look at that poor woman. Look at that poor 68-year-old woman that was hit by the transgender that they still haven't found and was killed. She was just driving along in her vehicle. This nincompoop runs a stop, blows a stop sign, and kills her. So, you know, you don't know when your ticket's going to get punched. So, you may want to live in a closet and hope you never die, but you're going to die anyway. So my philosophy's always been, you know, live the life you want to live. Enjoy, because you know something, you'll never know. You never know when you're going.
You know, a couple of things you brought up that were very interesting. For instance, on cigarettes, there's a tobacco tax on it. Federally.
Yeah.
There's a tobacco tax on it from the state.
Yeah.
And to top it all off, they added a sales tax on top of the cigarettes.
That's right.
So tax after tax after tax.
Yeah.
Alcohol, same thing. There's a federal alcohol tax, there's a state alcohol tax, and there's a sales tax on it. And if you're buying beer, there's a deposit on it.
That's right, on the bottles in the can. Yeah, but let's look at this. Let's look at this from a realistic and a logical perspective. And at least from my perspective, if the government truly cared about your health and about the damage these products do, they would have eliminated alcohol long ago. Because how many drunken drivers have killed people?
We've tried that.
How many livers have been destroyed?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. How many heart attacks have been precipitated by alcoholism and liver failures? How many people have been killed by drunken drivers? Did they ever even consider eliminating alcohol? Absolutely not. One of the biggest industries in the United States. Cigarettes. Billions, not millions, billions of people have died from cigarette smoking. We have spent trillions of dollars in cancer care for people who have gotten cancer from smoking cigarettes. tax upon tax on liquor, tax upon tax on cigarettes, and have they ever even considered eliminating these products? No, the tobacco industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. What we said on our first show, oh so many years ago, follow the money. Just like rich people get off from criminal offenses
and hate crimes.
Rich companies, they won't eliminate their products. And it's, now look, you know, I'm going to be a fixator. I got my crystal ball in front of me. You think they'll ever eliminate legalized pot when there's lines out there? Every time they open up a shop, there's a line a mile long to get in, and they're going to tax it, and they're going to get revenue from it, no matter how many people are high and kill people driving.
How many people I smell smoking while they're driving? It drives me crazy.
And doing it, you think they'll, you know, no matter how many deaths, and even though they haven't put into place how they can accurately test somebody for impairment from pot, they're allowing these people to buy it, drive their cars, buy it, and get in their car and leave, because you don't know what they're going to do. So truly, if the government really wanted to be Big Brother and impose these things regardless of how we feel for our own good, it wouldn't be in the form of a tax. It would be in a form of stopping this kind of stuff that causes death. And at least that's my opinion. So, you know, but that's the reality of the thing. You know, you know, every day I turn on a TV, I get angry. I can always stay angry. All I do is watch TV. It's amazing. Then I watched that woman who was arrested again for DUI, who killed not one but 2 people.
Right.
2 people. Drunken driving, and she was DUI'd again. You know, in some countries she would be executed for that. She might have been executed on the first offense. I know in Japan she'd get a life sentence, or at least the last time I was there. She'd get a life sentence for DUI and killing somebody. She'd never get out of jail, let alone not drive again. So, you know, don't tell me, you know, they have politicians love to make you feel good by saying, look at this legislation. We're getting tougher on crime. Really? We got tougher on drunken driving. We got MAD. We've got all these drunken driving organizations to try to stop it, toughen up the laws. How much did that do? How many times in the last 6 months have you turned on your television and on the news saw someone DUI that had 4 previous offenses, 32 previous offenses, and there they are again in court because they are allowed to drive. Driving without a license, DUI'd. How many people do we see in court on charges that have got records as long as your arm and they're still walking the streets? It's just, you know, if you believe this crap, that this legislation and what they do is anything more than the Goebbels propaganda method, look what we're doing for you. Just look at our mandatory gun sentencing law. Do we remember that one, CJ?
Yep.
How many people out there among you remember that Massachusetts has a minimum mandatory sentence for gun crimes? Now we've got quote-unquote dangerousness hearings. Do you see any reduction in gun crime?
No.
Do you see any reduction in murders? No. All the legislation, all this horse manure that they throw at you, that some kind of legislation can eliminate this stuff, is crap. Go to the countries where if you got a gun and you commit a gun crime, you get executed or you get life in prison. See how much gun crime there is in those countries. Not a lot. It's not about how many laws you pass. It's if you truly have a criminal justice system, not like ours where now Jesse Smollett's lawyer was on yesterday, now playing the victim card. He perpetrates something that tried to make him a victim.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, which further fosters the rift between whites and blacks. which is already problematic in his country, and here's a guy that exacerbated that rift by trying to say that he was accosted by like KKK people, the implication, and MAGA people.
And that was in Chicago.
And then what does his lawyer say? Oh, he's more of a victim now. Look what they're doing to him after the fact. Yeah, look what we're doing to him. He got 2 lousy days. 2 days of community service, and he got a sealed record. Nobody can ever know about that. Nobody can know the facts of the case. I guess it's good to be friendly with Michelle Obama and Obama, and well, they got the text from Obama, from Michelle. They got the text. Of course, one of her aides is saying they did it, but that's crap. We know Chicago. Look, Chicago. The fact is, Mayor Daley got elected for like 100 years, and what, 27,000 dead people always voted for him in every election?
Of course.
You know, I mean, you know, Chicago's always been Chicago. Al Capone, politicians. You know, it is what it is. But the fact is that it can't not upset people. It can't not upset when somebody like this, who's got money, power, does something so heinous. And justifiably, the people are outraged about what happened at the Jewish cemetery. But how can our judicial system, and then we had that prosecutor saying it was a fair punishment. 2 days community service. If that thing would have gone forward longer, he would have done more irreparable harm. Who knows what would have happened? Riots in the streets of Chicago because he was victimized? People killed? Police officers murdered because Jesse was attacked? Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about me. They only worry about you if you got a couple of $1 million and you know the Obamas or somebody else in power. That's the reality. Get used to it.
Speaking of a couple of $1 million, we have a couple of $1 million to fix a road. Which we got last year,
nice segue, CJ.
Which we got last year, by the way.
Yeah, last year. Well, we were sitting on it to see if we could use it somewhere else.
See if we can get some interest.
Yeah, and where is it?
It's Mariano Bishop Boulevard. It's over Canning Boulevard.
Yeah.
Right next to South Coast Marketplace. And of course, right in front of the casino.
Right in front of the casino. That's our revenge for Tiverton opening up a casino rather than us. That's our revenge. We're going to dig up the roads. So, hey, again, talk about great planning. But of course, they're going to have a big meeting of the minds about it. But you know what? This is my favorite, though. Report. Employee numbers dropped 30% at Fall River Amazon. Well,
like that's news.
Well, number one, we employed like 14 people from Fall River and Amazon anyway, so it doesn't really hurt Fall River that much. But, you know, again, here we go with the panacea to all our problems is to bring in an Amazon or a big employer who will not employ many Fall River people because they're unqualified or they just don't want to work or whatever, and we don't have the training necessary. So, you know, again, another ostrich approach to fixing the economy. Fall River is a blue-collar city. The backbone of any city like Fall River is small business, not large corporations. If you hang your economy on a large single provider, you are going to get screwed. How many times have we seen this? What happened when the steel mills closed in Pittsburgh? In the toilet. What happened when the auto industry closed in Detroit? All those surrounding in the toilet. What happened when the tractor company closed up out in the Midwest? The entire damn area within 100 miles tanked.
That's it.
When they were talking about closing the Bath shipyard in Maine, the entire state of Maine would have went bankrupt. That's the problem. You can't do that, especially, look, if you're Boston, if you're Chicago, if you're LA, if you're Austin, Texas, if you're a big city and you're the hub of that state, look, Boston's got insurance agencies, headquarters. You can go to downtown Chicago, million office buildings.
Yeah.
They make tons and tons of tax money. They can afford to have small businesses in flux. Fall River can't. That's where the people of Fall River actually get a job and maintain a job. When Fall River had the mills, all those small businesses flourished. But because we were attached to mills, when they left, we've never recovered. And that's why we can't, and we're not training our people to get jobs. And that's what you got to do.
Well, that's interesting. I got to stop you there. That's interesting because Amazon is saying that we are proud of our innovative workforce development programs such as Career Choice, which prepays 95% of tuition for employees to go back to school in fields that are high demand, regardless of whether those skills are relevant to jobs at Amazon. Many associates will choose to build a career at Amazon. For others, a job at Amazon may be the first step in their career path. You know, that's a nice benefit. Don't get me wrong. It's a nice benefit. But the problem they're having is the report shows that the number of city residents, remember, key here, city residents working in a permanent position at Amazon's fulfillment center was less than half of what it was when it first opened. So I guess there's 7 working there.
Yes, 7. And not only that, look, and you're right. If you're a young kid with aspirations, you don't have the money to go to school, good place to work maybe. You know, just like going in the military and putting money towards your education, you can do that. But then you're going to get shot at. So people don't, you might go to Afghanistan or Iraq, but, but you'll serve your country. So there are ways to do this. But you think that the 14 people at Amazon are really probably qualified for this? That's one of the problems we have in Fall River. What was the most startling statistic we had? Our retention of educated people.
Right.
So if you're college bound or want to be college bound, you're probably not one of the people who can take advantage of this if you're working at Amazon, because you'd probably be on your way to college or something else. This is the problem. You know, people love to spout statistics and do this stuff, but they never look beyond it. It's like they can't see the forest because they're looking at one tree. This is another propaganda tool. Yeah, you're right. But how many people? We all know that one of the major problems in Fall River is we only keep the people who are undereducated. We have virtually the worst retention rate of educated people in the state. And when Paul Coogan, who was in education, sat here when he was talking about his mayoral bid, he admitted that. Because we brought that out when we were talking about building a new school. That's one of the points we brought out, that we're going to spend over $250 million building a school, and no matter how much it enhances the educational experience, so far we're losing about 97% of those people who do take advantage of that education. And nobody wants to address that problem, just like nobody wants to address taxes and laws don't cure our problems. So, hey. It is what it is, but you know, reality checks. And all this stuff shows one thing. Figures and studies can lie because liars can figure and commission studies.
That always works.
That's a paraphrase, by the way.
That always works, right?
Yeah.
So, well, as we're coming to the close of the show, we will not be having a show on Monday. I will be indisposed. I will be going under the knife. No jokes.
Good luck on your surgery.
No jokes about going under the knife on April Fool's Day. And I hope to see you again on Wednesday. So
we're confident in that, CJ.
I know. I crawl up the stairs to get here. You know that.
Okay. Everybody have a good weekend. Stay angry.
We'll see you. I'll see you on Wednesday. So will Chip. Bye-bye.
That's right.